Hello everyone, I am here again before you with another aspect related to chart, that is part 2. In the previous presentation, in the previous video, we discussed about the form of charge, and in this particular video we will be continuing with the second and the last part relating to charge, that is joinder of charges. In joinder of charges, we would be basically talking about the when particular magistrate or particular court can club together different charges levied against a same accused or accused persons, and they can be together, clubbed together, joined together and tried in a particular trial in order to save the precious time and effort of the court concerned. There can be certain situations which are so connected with each other that they are having same accused, same person who are to be prosecuted for the same witnesses or similar witnesses, similar evidences, in order to appreciate the same things again and again. It's better to save our time and join together in one single trial. And this is the basic purpose of this chapter part 2, that is joinder of charges. It's starting from section 218 and stretching till section 223. Section 218 basically talks about separate charges for distinct offences. It is laying down a basic principle, that is, for every offence, a separate charge should be formulated against the accused person or persons, and for every charge, a separate trial should be conducted. Means the general rule says that for every offence, a separate charge should be formulated, and for every charge levied against a particular accused person, separate trial would be conducted. Further, section also states that if the accused person applies in writing an application to the magistrate and shows his desire that he should be tried for different offences or separate offences in one trial only, and the magistrate also believes that no prejudice will be caused to accused if we try him for more than one offences or more than one charge in a single trial, the magistrate can try all such offences or any of such offences together and can save the time of the court concerned. Further, the section says that this general rule is subject to the certain exceptions which are laid down under section 219, 20, 221 and 223 of CRPC. These are: number one, section 219. Basically, it is talking about when three offences of the same kind committed within a span of 1 year may be charged together. So, first we can say proviso to the general rule or exception to the general rule is here, that if a particular person is accused of committing offences of same kind within a span of 12 months, and those offences are more in number, then the person can be charged with those offences which are of same kind, and these charges or offences can be clubbed together in a single trial. But this section also lays down a stipulation that maximum number of three offences can be tried together. So these kind of offences, if are committed more than thrice, a separate trial has to be run for other. But here only three offences of same kind committed within a span of 12 months can be joined together and tried by a magistrate concerned. The section further talks about what do you mean by exactly the term offences of same kind. So the section clarifies itself that are of same kind if they are punishable with same amount of punishment and under same provision of the law concerned, be it a local law, be it a special law, or be it our IPC only. If the offence is having same punishment and is punishable under same provision of law, it becomes offence of same kind. Further, the section gives an explanation by way of illustrating another example before us, that if the offence is punishable under section 379 and another offence is punishable under section 380 and there is attempt to commit such offence, all three would be termed as offence of same kind. Also, they are punishable under different sections of IPC, but they have same punishment. Thus, they can be clubbed together and they can be tried in a single trial. Apart from that, section 220 talks about where trial of more than one offences can be done in a single trial. Earlier we had studied trial against one particular person of different offences. Here we are talking about trial of those offences. Category 1, if I talk about, is that there are several offences which are making a chain towards a final act. Means there are several different distinct acts which makes a chain or part of same transaction and are committed by same person, then the person can be charged and tried at single trial for all those offences. So all those offences, as being a part of same transaction or same chain of offence, can be clubbed together and tried at a single trial. Apart from that, the section talks about that if a person is charged with one or more offence of criminal breach of trust or dishonest misappropriation of property, then the person who is committing that particular offense and those who are helping that particular person by facilitating or concealing the commission of that offense, all those people who are related to that particular offense by means of falsification of accounts or otherwise, they can all be joined together and tried for every offense in a single trial only. Apart from that, the section says that if a particular offence is such which falls in within the definition of two distinct laws, there can be a situation where a particular offence is punishable under two different laws operative at the same time. Then the section says that those persons can be tried at a single trial for committing an offence under both the laws concerned. So suppose if I take the example of defamation. Defamation is punishable under IPC also, and some special law is also there under which defamation is also an offence. Then the person can be tried at a single trial for committing offence under IPC as well, and that particular special law as well. Another thing which the section is talking about, that if different offences when combined together constitute a different offence, means there are small 2 3 offences, separate offences, and when they are merged together they make a different distinct offence. The offender can be, the accused person can be charged with and tried with for all such offences which were small distinct offences and that major offence, all can be clubbed together and the person can be charged at the single trial for all such offences. Lastly, section says that there is no effect on section 71 of IPC of this particular section. Section 71 of IPC talks about punishments, fraction of punishment or punishment how to be given, what should be the fraction of particular area of, yeah, we can say what is the concurrent passing of sentence or consecutive running of sentence. So this particular area would not have any effect on section 71. For more clarity, you can see for section 71 of IPC concern. Apart from that, section 221 of CIPC talks about where it is doubtful what offence has been committed. There can be a situation in IPC also we see there are several offences whose essentials look very similar to each other. There is minute difference between both of them. They can somehow are overlapping each other in manner of their essential elements. This section is talking about that only. When there is a situation when a single act or series of acts are committed in such a manner that it makes it doubtful as to out of so many several offences, which exact offence it will constitute. The number of acts are committed, but we are not able to gather that this particular offence has been committed by the accused person. Then this particular section says that all the possible charges which can be levied against that particular person can be imposed upon that accused person. For once, accused will be charged with all of or any of such offences, and all the charges can be tried together in one particular trial. Further, the section also talks about that if a particular accused person is charged with one offence, but at the stage of evidence, it appears before the court that he has committed some other offence with which he was not earlier charged, still conviction can be made of that particular offence upon which he was not specifically charged. Suppose we had charged him for culpable homicide not amounting to murder, but during the trial, by the evidences, it appears before the court that he has committed murder. Then he was not originally charged with murder, but this section says that although he was not charged with murder, he can still be convicted for that particular offense. Apart from that, Section 222 of CRPC talk about when offence proved included in offence charge. There can be a certain situation where a major charge has to be proved, and in that particular major charge, some smaller acts are also included. For example, the categories are: person is charged with an offence constituting of several particulars, the combination of some only of which constitutes a complete minor offence. There can be a situation where a person has been charged with a commission of a major big offence, and while proving that particular offence, it comes before the court that yes, he has committed also certain several smaller minor offences also. Then in that particular situation, although he was not charged with such minor offences, he was charged for the major only, still he can be convicted for the minor offences as he has committed and has come before the court during the trial. Further, the section says that if the person is charged with an offence and facts prove in the favor of the accused in the manner that it is reduced to a minor offence, that he has not committed the major offence, but yes, some minor offence has been committed by him, still he can be convicted for the same. For example, if a particular person is charged with causing grievous hurt to a particular person, but during the trial it comes before the court that yes, he has only caused hurt to that particular person but not grievous hurt, still he was not expressly charged with hurt, still he can be punished for or convicted for the offence of hurt. Further, the section says that if a person is charged with an offence, he may be convicted of an attempt to commit such offence, although attempt is not separately charged. Similar to the above mentioned categories only, if a particular person is charged with committing a particular offence, but later on it is discovered that it was just an attempt, actually he has not committed that particular offence, the person can still be made liable for attention of that particular offence and punishment can be given in this regard, although he was not exactly as per charged with attempt only. Lastly, the section talks about that conviction of any minor offence can only be possible when the conditions which were required for initiation of proceedings against a particular person in relation to that minor offence were fully satisfied. If there is some prerequisite conditions required for prosecuting a particular person for a minor offence, and if those conditions are not fulfilled, even though the court comes to know about this during the trial that yes, he has committed a minor offence, he cannot be convicted for the same, as the prerequisite conditions are not fulfilled. So, conviction for a minor offence is only possible if the prerequisite conditions, if any, were there for initiation of proceeding against the accused person in relation to that minor offence has been fully satisfied. Apart from that, Section 223 of CRPC talks about the person who can be joined together. Earlier we were talking about joinder of charges against one singular person. Now we are talking about joinder of persons. When more than one person have committed single acts or more than one person has committed group of acts, then they can be joined together. Section 223 is classifying certain categories relating to that. So, Section 223 provides that person who are accused of same offence committed during the course of same transaction, means a group of people committed a particular offence, so, so they can be charged together and can be joined together, tried together in a single trial if they are so related that they are accused of committing same offence, which are part of same transaction. Otherwise, apart from that, persons who are accused of an offence and those persons who are accused of abetment or attempt to commit such offence. There can be a situation when a particular person is a abettor and the actual offender is someone else, or there can be a situation where one person has attempt to do a particular offence another has actually committed that particular offense in, as per section 223, both the person who is the attempter, who is the actual offender, or who is the abettor, all these offenders can be clubbed together and can be tried in a single trial. Apart from that, the section also talks about that person who are accused of more than offense of one offense of same kind, as per section 219, committed within a span of 12 years jointly by them. So there are more than one person who have committed offense of same kind more than once, and they have committed those offences jointly within a span of 12 months. As per section 219, they can also be clubbed together. Further, the section talks about that those persons who are accused of committing different offences during the course of same transaction can also be joined together and tried. For example, a gang of say 5 or 6 odd people plan to commit dacoity. Then everyone was given their part to play in the commission of that particular offense. Although somebody has procured the guns or somebody has done, recce of that particular place where the offense has to be committed. Everybody has played their small parts in the commission of a particular offense, but as the offense are committed during the course of same transaction, even though they have committed different distinct offences, still they can be tried together and can be charged with same offences. Apart from that, the section also talks about that if the person is accused of offence including theft, extortion, cheating, criminal misappropriation, and those persons who receive, retain, or assist in disposal of property which is subject matter of these offences, or the abettors or the attempters. All these people can be tried and joined together in a single trial. For example, a particular person has committed theft, and after committing theft, he has given the stolen property for retention, for the purposes of retention to another person, and the other person has assisted in disposal of that stolen property or concealment of those that stolen property, and somebody has abetted that particular offense. All these people can be joined together and can be charged jointly in a single trial. Apart from that, the person who are accused of offences committed under section 411 to 414 of IPC can be charged together and can be tried jointly. Further, the person who are accused of any offence under Chapter 12 of IPC, Chapter 12 basically deals with currency offences in relation to counterfeiting coins or currency of India. So those persons who are related to offences in relation to coins or currency of India, or any other person committing any offence under that particular chapter, can be clubbed together, joined together, and charged in a single trial. Lastly, the section also talks about that if a number of persons are charged with separate offences and do not fall in any of the categories mentioned above, then the magistrate or court of session, even though they do not fall in any of the category above, still if they apply in writing that they desire to be joined together and tried in a singular trial, and magistrate thinks that no prejudice will be caused to them, still the person can be merged and joined together, charged together, and tried together in a singular trial. Lastly, Section 224 of CRPC talks about withdrawal of remaining charges on conviction of on one of several charges. There we have already studied in the previous section that where it is doubtful as to which particular offence has been actually committed by the offender, all the possible charges can be imposed on a particular offender. Or there can be a situation where some charges are imposed upon a particular offender, but he is not as such convicted on that particular offence. So, suppose, let's say, a particular offender was charged with three distinct offences committed within a span of 3 years, and he was charged together and was been has been tried in a singular trial. Later on, he was convicted for two offences, but not for single one. So automatically, impliedly, the one charge which remained back for which no conviction was done would be deemed to be withdrawn. Same thing, the section is also saying that where the charge is containing more than one head and conviction has been done on one or more of them, the complainant or the prosecution may, with the consent of court, withdraw the remaining charges. Also, the court can also by itself withdraw the or stay the inquiry into further remaining charges. So basically, the section is simply talking about where the person was charged with n number of offences, but conviction has been given upon he was tried for all the offences, but conviction is only recorded for some of them and not for others. The other charges are withdrawn by either by the prosecution or by the court itself, and the person gets the status of acquittal from those charges. And their acquittal status means that the person cannot be brought before the court for prosecution on based on same facts and same circumstances upon same charges, because he was tried on that particular offences or on that particular charges earlier and was not convicted, which means he was impliedly acquitted from those charges. Thus, those charges upon those charges he cannot be prosecuted again, even in the same court or anywhere else, because it will cause double jeopardy. But yes, can be charged if some new facts are known to the court or the prosecution, or otherwise the circumstances are so that yes, it is necessary to be inquired into, then only the person can be inquired into withdrawal charges. That's all for the remaining part of the chart, that was joinder of charges. I hope you got to know the basic meaning and the basic principles relating to joinder of charges. Please comment in the comment section that how you like the videos, or if there are any questions. I would be soon uploading another video on another aspect of law, which would be more and more informative to you, and it would be easier to you to understand the difficult concepts of law. Thank you so much.